Like to call the May Property and Rec Committee meeting to order. Was the meeting properly announced?
Yes, it was.
Public participation, we'll take that as it comes if there is any. Roll call. Let it show that all members are present. Need to approve the agenda. Motion by Mike. Second by Rocky. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Approve the minutes from April 10th. Motion by Mike. Second by Rocky. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay. Project status report, Kyle.
Yep, the departments should have gone through and updated the project status report. Are there any questions on ongoing projects?
I don't see any. Treasurer's report, Jenny.
Hello, everybody. I gave you an updated as of last Friday or the Friday before, because you had it last week. About a quarter of the people have paid that we have filed on so far. They have until May 25th. So next month I'll have a better idea going into the July meeting to how many we will be looking at to proceed from there.
Anybody got any questions for Jenny? Go ahead, John.
Mr. Chair, question is for Janie. I see some of these were redeemed.
Mhm.
Can you tell us how they were redeemed, or was there any kind of a reach out to these individuals?
Well,
Or-
just, yeah, we always send letters with notifications and they were filed against, they got their certified mailings. Some didn't take their certified mailings, but because they knew they had gotten one through the postal service, they've called and contacted, gave them their updated information. When we say redeem, they redeemed up to the year that they needed to take out of the foreclosure. Some paid them all in full for all their years and some just did what they needed to do.
That's for the 1 year. Would that be going back
2019 and olders. Yep.
19? Okay. I see that there's some of these that just owe as little as a few $100s. Are they being made aware? And if so, how are they being made aware of these? Make arrangements, payment arrangements?
If they contact us, I mean,
Yeah.
we do our quarter, like, we're 4 years into this,
Mm-hmm.
where they're behind technically 4 years at this point. Because we have to wait until 3 years before we go after the 1 year that's 3 years behind. So they get their regular tax bill, they get the quarterly statements when they're delinquent. We send preliminary notifications a year ahead of time with the quarterlies stating, please contact us. Let's set up a payment plan, various things up until this point. Preliminary when we start the title search, when we receive the title search and add the extra $200, because we don't put the fee on there until it's actually in. And then again, when the court date is set up and it's all, and those are sent certified. And if they come back, we send them regular mail because some people just don't grab the certified. So we also have a guardian ad litem that contacts them. So there's plenty of opportunities and it's up to them to
Mm-hmm.
make that motion, because we'll work with them. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of they gotta do it.
Do you, when you send out these notices, do you include the option of a payment plan? Do you actually break it down and
Yeah,
show
we
them?
put that in our notice.
Do
in the
you
notice.
actually lay out the payment plan for them where it shows how much they would owe per month over a course of 12 months?
No, we wait for them to contact because everyone's is different. You don't. And plus we also send them the Wisconsin homeowners thing. So if they need to try and get extra funds elsewhere
Mhm.
and we have the aging unit also helps us out with that, if some of them that we know.
Would it,
just-
would it be, would it be reasonable and helpful in your opinion if you did have some kind of a layout of a payment plan that you could send with these notices and these certified letters where it'd make it easier for them to understand they have that option?
So if I send the notification and our goal is that we take that 1 year and everybody's amount is different. You want us to do each individual one as a guesstimation, but if they don't contact us for 3 or 4 months, that changes the whole number
Mhm.
because of the thing. I mean, I don't have to. I mean, legally, we don't have to. We do over more than what we have to minimize already. We used to do more and then it got confusing. So it was determined at that point between the judge and whatever, that sometimes less is more, but we do not. Like I said, we do more than we need to, but we don't get meticulous. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, in my opinion, I think, if they were made aware that they could rectify or redeem these by paying as little as, in some cases, as little as $20-30 a month, I think that might be attractive to them. And if they were made aware of that option existed, it just seems like $20-30 a month. I mean, most people would be able to come up with that if they knew that was an option. So,
If they contact us, we certainly can do that.
mm,
I mean, it's like, you don't want to make promises you can't keep either.
Right.
So, and with each one determining being different. So we give out what we do. And like I said, every quarter we send those out and each time we put on there, please contact our office for payment plan options, or we send all the extra information for other facilities to see if they could get some help elsewhere.
mhm.
Sounds like
I
you're
said,
doing over and above the call of duty already, Jenny.
We try. I mean, we don't want to take it. We don't.
Do we need to act on anything on this tax deed? No.
No, not
we
at this
don't.
time.
Okay.
Nope.
Right.
It's for general information.
All right, thank you for that, Janie.
Bill?
Mr. Chair, Janie, would you scroll up to the beginning of just scroll up one a little bit, please?
That's is
I don't
the
think I
top.
can do that. Can I?
That is the top.
Okay, go down then. A little more. All right, right there. Okay, I just want a clarification. We're going back to the tax year 2019.
Mhm.
What's the year tax certificate purchase? What is that?
The process of the tax roll is your tax bill comes out 1 year. In this case, it was 2019. And if they missed their first and second installment, the fiscal year end for that tax year is September 1st. And that's when we issue a tax certificate. Once we issue that tax certificate, that's the legal process that we send our notification saying you haven't paid. And if it remains unpaid in 2 years, the county has the option to foreclose. That's their very first thing that they get. So, and then we proceed on from that point quarterly with the notices and reminders. And when we get closer and saying, hey, here we go, we're looking at, starting our proceeds, give us a call if you can.
Okay.
So the base of what their principal is on this particular piece is $311. And at the date of the filing, they owed $63.71 in interest and penalties.
Okay.
In
so
addition.
Am I to understand that if they paid the tax lien principal and the interest, they would not be on this?
Correct.
list? They would be.
We could pull them out of it. Well, and in this case, it'd be a newer version because that was back in March. So there'd be a little bit more for the interest and
Okay,
penalty.
I understand that.
So-
Okay,
Yep, we would take them out if it was paid.
so if they paid that, they would be off, and then if they didn't pay the 2020, then they would be back on the list.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you for that clarification.
Okay, anybody else got any questions? Okay, maintenance report. Bill?
Good afternoon. Just a couple of updates, I guess, since I wrote my report. With the Veterans Memorial, the concrete company was here today. They're gonna get the extra forms installed hopefully tomorrow and get that poured this week with any luck. We've been pushing kind of hard to get them here. They've been busy, they say, but at the end of the day, we got a project too that we'd like completed and hopefully it's gonna get done now. The Also, the working on reconfiguration of Old Community Service Office to accommodate Corp Council move. That is going to happen this Thursday and Friday. We did have to do a little bit of work internally inside the office to get that ready. We do have that complete now, so we've got it on the calendar and that's going to happen this week. I think that's about it for the update. Besides the regular report. Any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Bill?
Fairgrounds a little farther. I'm sorry, the other way. Thank you. Okay. Working with engineer on Midway pavement replacement. So are you thinking of putting a new pavement in the Midway?
We're doing just a little less than an acre of paving there. The grades and everything have been shot already. We have not put it out for bids yet, but that'll be coming relatively soon, right, Bill?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And with any luck, for the next meeting, I'll have on there, opening bids for the, or selecting a contractor for the roof replacement on this building as well.
Okay.
So I've been working with the engineer on that. We're doing a walkthrough on that on Wednesday to kind of finalize things for the spec for that.
And that paving out there is being done to alleviate the problems with water sitting along the Midway.
Okay, that was my question.
There have been times that I've seen it out there where people were walking in water that was well above their ankles.
Yeah, and the other issue I guess I could see is people parking out on the far end and then having to walk along kind of a muddy area. It's grassy, but it's a little bit muddy. But there's no, that's not going to be addressed at this time.
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else got any questions for? Well, let's move along to parks then. Doug, Darren, who's first?
Good afternoon. So, following this report, Fred Heider will be making a presentation. He's from North Central Regional Planning Commission. He'll discuss the results of the survey he conducted. Other than that, some of the topics, we've been extremely busy this time of the year, trying to get everything ready for the parks, getting our summer staff lined up. That has been a struggle because of extremely low interest in our positions. We still have several openings to fill. Other than that, I don't have anything to add other than the report. Were there any questions, or Darren, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have anything unless there's any questions.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Doug or Darren? Okay, let's move along with Fred Heider then from North Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. How come it says CP instead of PC?
Testing. Perfect, thank you. So we have the survey open. I've got a few things. I want to give you a summary. This 19-page summary that I have and put into your packet is going to be actually part of the document itself, the planning document. But then the 145-page summary with all the comments will be always available on the website for this planning process. And then after I go through this, I'll go through the goals that I tweaked based on the survey results, and then we'll go from there. So earlier this year, we had the survey out for about 5 weeks. We left it open past the spring election. So we had it open for a few more days after the election. And that was helpful. So we got 878 responses. And it's not statistically significant because anyone can choose to do it, but it's better than any public hearing that we would ever have. So because public hearings, we only get like 40 people. So this is still amazing, and it's a great turnout. About 65% of respondents that answered the survey question said they live or own a home in Adams County, and the most popular zip code was 54457. But I've got a word cloud there with all the other zip codes that came up as most popular among the respondents. A nearly equal gender split of respondents occurred, 47% male, 53% female. I only do that because I want to see if it's like 90% one or the other. Well, that's 90% is not what Adams County is. So if it's a good split, then I feel comfortable with the results. That's why I have it in there. But I never leave it as a required question. Through an IP address analysis of who took the survey, there were 39 IP addresses that were at least duplicated, which could mean a husband and wife or kids in the house. I always want to make sure that I keep the survey document open so that the same computer or the same mobile device in a household, or someone can take it to the bar, fill out themselves, and then hand the device to someone else. And I want to make sure that the survey is open and available as much as possible. And looks like through the duplicate addresses, I looked at where people had left off. There wasn't really a point where they had left off. So some of them may have come back and answered it again because they might have seen that it was too long. But when I got to like the end or any of the comments in any of these duplicates, it appeared that either someone started and stopped and then took it again later, or it was actually a different person answering in the duplicate responses. So overall, it appears that nobody stuffed the ballot box per se. So then we had the first question, which was basically a whole listing of outdoor recreation activities, about 30 of them, and people could mark whichever ones they wanted. The most popular or most frequent outdoor recreation activities respondents participated in. There's a whole list right there. I just picked the top 7 because those were closest to each other. Could easily pick the top 10 or just the top 5. So boating was number 1 with 72%, walking and hiking 69%, fishing at 59%, swimming at 55%, events, festivals, and fairs 52%, ATV, UTV riding 49%, camping, RV, specific camping 45%. So usually in the top 5 or so, with obviously the lakes that you have here, I'm not, it's not unusual to have obviously fishing and swimming as high. So that's good to see. So it shows me that the survey was working. What potential outdoor recreation opportunities should be developed in Adams County? 442 people responded and 436 skipped this. But this is the second question, the open-ended question where they could list 3 things. It could be the same thing all 3 times, or could be 3 different things. So I took a pad of paper and I made tick marks next to the variety of things that people put down. And I always like this question. Sure, it creates a lot of work for me, but I think it's important to not put anything in front of them except the list, the previous question, which had the 30 about outdoor activities, outdoor rec activities. So if they've got something in their mind, they can drop it on the question and tell us what they're thinking. We've got an open-ended question at the back of the survey. So in case they're going through the survey and they're like, hey, why didn't they ask about this? Then that open-ended question at the back end of the survey caught any of those responses. So this is the only open-ended response that I actually tabulated. All the other ones are word clouds through the summary. But those other open-ended questions, when you get to that point, you're thinking about making upgrades at the park or whatever, then you can go back through over the next 5 years, that part of the survey, take a look and think about the sentiment of the people that were filling out the survey. And then go ahead and vote to do stuff or whatever. So going back to the tabulation here, hiking, walking, biking trails came in as number 1 at 146 total responses. Walking, hiking, and biking, walking trails I put together. Needing a swimming area, 99 total responses. And that was a combination of the people wanting a splash pad or a pool. Those were the top 2 responses. A little more than a handful said clean lakes for swimming or a water park. Number 3 for what potential outdoor rec in the area. ATV, UTV improvements at 92 total responses. Either they said trails, 57 responses, or open roads with 35. Then the other major responses that people had were they wanted like an outdoor music or more festivals with 45 responses. Pickleball courts at 37. Fishing opportunities at 24. Disc golf at 22, a dog park at 19, Moore County Forest, public lands for hunting at 16. Thinking about that Moore County Forest, remember this is question number 2 before we actually ask them about the county forest. Then I just put in here word clouds of those first, second, and third listings under number 2, just for anyone to look at. Then we got into, then we took the major county parks and we asked them, how often do you use the park? If they said never, then they were jumped ahead a few questions so that it didn't burden them and that they would want to continue answering the surveys. So first we always started with how often do you use the park? And then we got into rate your overall satisfaction with, and in this case, Petenwell County Park. And that looks very good as good and very good. So good job. Rate your satisfaction with the following amenities at Petenwell County Park. And there's a visual in the 144 page response. But in order to actually summarize it and get it into the plan succinctly, I took the table here and then just circled the percentages that were highest. And in this case, it was like over 20%, the ones that I circled. So most of the amenities are good or very good if they were above 20%. Then we have the next one, question 6. Should the county build a splash pad / water feature in Petenwell County Park? So I wanted to make sure it was splash pad / water feature so that people would think that, yeah, it's going to be some kind of a fountain thing, or maybe it's going to be a little more developed, but it might not be as expensive as one that you would see in a major city, or obviously Wisconsin Dells right next to us here in the county. So the average rating was 3. This was a 5-star rating. And how I like to share, I've got the table there as well. So you can see that about a little more than 21% gave it 5 stars, 25% gave it 1 star as a low priority, 5 stars being high priority. I've done a lot of questions like this, and based on those and also this summary, anything really in the 3.0 to 4.0, I've never seen one that's 5.0. Even if you say, you know, I love the sky being blue today, we're never gonna get a 5 out of that, even though it's blue today or gray today as it's raining. So a 3 is a really strong positive that this should be done. You'll see, well, I think we only have 2 of these questions. So in other remarks that I've put a 5-star rating, I have seen a 1.5 star rating given to something. So then I suggest that don't do that right now or figure out how else to solve that problem. But a 3 is a strong rating. A strong positive rating. So then question 7 was the open-ended response of what additional improvements would you like to see in Peterborough County Park? So there's a word cloud. And then of course you can go to the detailed results and take a look at those. So then we get into the next one. How often do you use Castle Rock County Park? And then people can skip ahead if they don't use it at all. Rate your overall satisfaction. Good or very satisfied were strong responses. So that's positive for the county. Rate your satisfaction with the following amenities at Castle Rock. Again, most of them were good or very satisfied with all the various amenities. Then we go to the next question 11. Should the county build a splash pad / water feature here at Castle Rock? And this was a 3.4 average rating. So way stronger. I know it's only 0.4 more, but I just did a survey in another county where it was, you know, how much do you like this historical society? And there's an overwhelming positive response in the community, and that got 3.5. Why not 4? So that was a little shocking to me, but so a 3.4 is strong, just like a 3 is. And if you need to prioritize, well then prioritize at the 3.4 versus a 3. What additional improvements? There's a word cloud there. That's the open-ended response. 131 people answered that question. So then the next question, how often do you use the following Adams County facilities? We want to obviously take the top 2 parks and split them out, but then all of the other county parks that are managed, we wanted to put them together so that people wouldn't have to skip ahead for each county park. So we've got I don't use this facility, obviously, is over 20% for all of them occasionally, and you can see the others. Rate your satisfaction. So here we allowed them to pick for each Adams County facility that we mentioned here. And so you can see ratings of good was strong. So what I did here was I just circled where you can see a spread either side of the center. So good was the highest number, but let's go all the way down to Patrick's Lake County Park, and you can see that good was still the strongest number. It was 4.5%, but it was 3% fair, 2.5% very satisfied. So I just wanted to show you that with all of the parks. Are there any park facilities that you'd want in one of the above parks or boat launches? And so we've got a word cloud there and all the comments. 115 people responded with that. Next, question 16. How often do you use the following Patrick Lake County Park facilities? So the ball field or the boat launch, not very many people use it. And so now here we go. Question 17, should the county make ball field improvements at Patrick Lake County Park? This is average rating of 2.2. This is not very strong at all. And then a bunch of people said no opinion. So that's why I circled that as well. but 725 people responded and it's a low priority for them. So if the thought was to do a whole bunch of improvements for the ball field, then there's still a bunch of people that really want it and would use it. Maybe it'll have to be scaled back. So that's what a 2.2 show tells me. Any comments about Patrick's Lake County Park? Want to make sure that there's always an open-ended question so that now you can see in detail the comments of people that responded, and 50 people respond with some comments. Now we get into the enthusiast questions. There's several with this bar graph. What type of water enthusiast are you? With most people answering the question, 715 answering it. So you can see all this, but so I'll just say 3% are not water enthusiasts, and you can see the other, the spread of the other enthusiasts. Now, the other part the next question is number 20, how do you use the water? And so top ones, everything there, nothing's a surprise to me. But this is how strong or how much people are using it. What public boat landings or water access improvements are needed in Adams County? And there's a whole variety, 177 people made comments about where improvements are needed specifically. I just have a word cloud here for a summary. The next enthusiast question, what type of snowmobile enthusiast are you? 73% are not a snowmobile enthusiast. Obviously, there's less snow down here than way up north, Vilas County. So that shocked me at first because I never see this, but we're farther south than Wausau or anywhere else north. So that's the what I'm getting there. How are you using your snowmobile? We asked the same question for all the following enthusiasts and what snowmobiling improvements. So we had 3 questions for all of these following enthusiasts. What type of enthusiast are you? How are you using your vehicle of choice? And what improvements do you think are needed? So then we'll go to question 25. What type of motorized vehicle? So you see we had snowmobile first. So then we specify motorized vehicle, ATV, UTV enthusiast are you? So 36% are not motorized vehicle, ATV, UTV enthusiasts, with the rest of the population that answered are, and most of the people over 700 answered this question. And then how are you using your motorized vehicle and what improvements are needed in Adams County for motorized vehicle improvements? Our next enthusiast question, 28. What type of off-highway motorcycle enthusiast are you? 87.5% of the respondents are not off-highway motorcycle enthusiasts, and then the rest are. How are you using your off-highway motorcycle? And then what improvements? A word cloud didn't actually create anything, so I just put question 30, a note that 28 respondents commented about off-highway motorcycle improvements. Question 31, I think this is the last of the enthusiast questions. Yeah. What type of bicyclist are you? 36% are not a bicyclist that answered, with 701 people answering. How are you using your bicycle? We've got in there a variety of responses. And what bicycle improvements are needed? There's an Adams County bicycle and pedestrian plan that was created less than 10 years ago, I think, now. And so that's available for making improvements. Question 34, are you aware, and this is where we get into the county forest questions. Are you aware that Adams County recently joined the Wisconsin County Forest Program? Obviously, most people have not, because it's so new with 84, almost 85% basically, saying no. Are you interested in using Adams County Forest for outdoor recreation? And, most people are interested, with 681 people responding. Then we get to question 36. We had the little intro, telling people that Adams County's forest is 140 acres about. Are you in favor of expanding the acreage and recreational opportunities in the Adams County Forest? And yes, so the same amount of people that didn't know that the forest existed as a county forest now say yes. We should have more. So 83, almost 84% if you round it up. Next question, any comments about the Adams County's county forest? And so 71 people made remarks. Trails was a hot button. Question 38, do you have any other concerns or comments? And so this was the last question. And so a bunch of people, 125 people made comments about that. So any questions before I move on?
Go ahead, Josh.
Mr. Chairman, question here is for Fred. Supervisor Josh Postelski here in New Chester. My question is, we see that swimming is a very popular feature here in Adams County. And we have the beaches, Castle Rock Lake there, for example. Oftentimes we see it closing in the summertime due to the blue green algae, coli, bacteria levels. I share concerns with the public in that there's pollutants getting into our rivers, streams, lakes, beaches. We see the excessive use of road salt, for example, and then we have the spread of slurry throughout the county, which we know can run off, especially in the fall, when we see it put down in the fall, getting into our lakes and streams and pollutants. Can you tell me what's being done to mitigate these pollutants, if anything? Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot being done, to be honest with you.
Well, so outside of outdoor recreation, because I'm also one of the natural resource planners at Regional Planning, I can tell you there's dealing with the algae blooms and such. That created the Wisconsin River TMDL for phosphorus. And so then that sets limits for how much can go in, but it's for sure a long struggle. So that's a DNR plan that exists for the whole Wisconsin River, basically a little bit more south of here and then all the way north. And so that's a DNR thing. And so because there's so many, that's all non-point source pollution coming from a variety of sources, roads, farm fields, and there's a whole variety of numbers in that plan and some summaries in some PowerPoints that I've seen. Now, it's been many years since there have been alga blooms on both the major lakes here. And so now there's this major TMDL saying, good, now we know how much less should be going in, and nothing's changing yet. I mean, it's incremental probably, since there's still alga blooms happening a few years after this report came out. So that's why I thought it was a good idea that we put into this survey, should we have at Castle Rock and Peatwell County Parks a splash pad of some sort, a water feature, so that when the lake is shut down due to the health concern, that you can still play in the water. And so both of those came back as a 3 or stronger. And I mean, I would strongly recommend that something be done some kind of a water feature that kids and maybe adults can play in. If you were in the city, it would be like opening up a fire hydrant and having a 2x4 and making sure that obviously the city was the one doing that. So then it would be a major sprinkler effect. So doing that at the county parks is the water feature splash pad that we're talking about. So I think that's a good idea, and I think it's gonna be needed because it's gonna take probably decades before either lake is actually clean enough on a constant basis throughout the whole summer to actually swim consistently again.
20 years ago, we never seen these, well, it seems like we never seen these closings at these beaches. And now we see them. So obviously something's happening that's causing this. And I don't know, can you recommend any way to, mitigate this a little more? It's kind of a slap in the face when you go to a beach, in my opinion, not to have it open and then instead have to go to a splash pad when we have these, what used to be perfectly good beaches here in the county, which really draw a lot of people here. And I mean, I can see this in an urban area, a splash pad, but when we have lakes to enjoy, it's kind of a shame that we can't enjoy them. So.
Yeah,
If-
I mean, the land and water department is the one that deals with.
If I could
phosphorus
intercept for a second, the Land and Water Committee has proposed a 9 key element plan to deal with that. And I'm sure Mike is more aware of that than I am.
Yeah, I think if you touch base with Kyle Kettner, that's his main assignment is the 14-mile watershed and the 9 key element plan. And I just talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he's got so much data, he can fill you in on all the resources available and the different issues that contaminate the lakes and where it's coming from. And it's just a whole wealth of information if you touch base with him.
Yeah, Mike, are they looking at the effects that the slurry might be having on the lakes at all? Is there any consideration that they're putting into that? The runoff?
I haven't heard anything about that. I know that you touched on E. coli, and a lot of that tends to come from the goose populations on the lake, that the geese hanging around the beaches and stuff. And I think especially up in Rome, we have a program on our 3 lakes that we do a goose roundup every year, and we've noticed that after the 3rd year of the goose roundup, we're finding less and less beach closures because of that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's just one example, but as far as the slurry goes, I don't have any information on that.
Okay. I don't know if it's fair to put it all on the geese. We've always had geese. So I mean, I find it a little hard to believe that it's just
I think, Josh, you need to go to the Land and Water Committee meeting.
yeah, I mean, but there's obviously something going on that's caused this in the last 20 years. And I think there's some changes. We need to consider things. Thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Fred? Bill?
Yeah, so is this maybe there's very few swimming areas on most of these lakes. I mean, they're like little tiny places. Is that because of the state of the lakes, or is that because, people giving up on them? Or is there so much other control other than the county, like lake associations, that just don't want people coming in to swim? Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Parker Lake, there is no swimming area available to the public. And the other lakes around me, even though they're small, the swimming areas are pitiful. That generally you have to swim where the boats are putting in it.
I mean, obviously, I don't know the history I've been doing the outdoor rec plan probably for 15 years, but I haven't seen any addition or subtraction of beaches over 15 years. But I mean, I've only known a little bit versus any one of you that live here, so no idea. So the other couple things I want to mention, I gave an initial deadline for the towns of May 1st to get me their parts. The city of Adams has their own outdoor rec plan, so I'll mention that. in here, but, we always, include all of the local governments. And then, Rome also has their own outdoor rec plan, so they're mentioned in here, directly as well. But we have all the other towns in here, if they've got, facilities of their own, parks or trails or boat landings. The May 1st deadline was a soft deadline for me, so that now I can contact them, if they haven't reached out. And, a few of them have, but, I'm expecting that by the end of May, I'll get, some more response. The other part, that I want to mention, I've got the, chapter 6 goals and objectives. This is a draft. So what I do is I start with the current plans, goals and objectives, and then I look at, basically question 2, that open-ended response that, that I summarize, and see if is there some tweaking that needs to be done to the existing goals, or should I add some new ones? So what I've, highlighted here, goal 3, objectives, 1 and 3, were new or revised. So, so goal 3, protect, restore, enhance, Adams County's natural resources for outdoor recreation. Number 1, follow best management practices for erosion control, while developing trails and recreational facilities. So that's probably a new one. Obviously it's a standard practice, but, a lot of people wanted more trails. And so this was an objective I thought was important to have in there. 2 was existing, and 3, cooperate with land and water department to expand. So this was a change because, objective 3 in the current plan was, create an Adams County forest. And so now, based on, the comments, this is, just a tweak to expand. And we left everything else in there, so that everyone sees that, county forest is open for public hunting, public recreation, and obviously harvesting timber. So it's going to be a working forest. It's not just for recreation. So I don't have anything else I don't have anything for approval today. But I just want to provide you with the survey results, tell you that the summarized, document of, 19 pages is going to be part of the plan, for everyone to see. And then, the actual 144 detailed pages are going to be on the website, for the next 5 years after the plan is done. The next parts, staff here will make some recommendations along with myself, but they'll get into detail about capital improvements for each of the parks, and have, and we'll have that for you next time, but it won't be a month from now. It might be 2 months from now. But that'll be the next time I'll be here. Any other questions right now?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for, Darren and Doug.
Go ahead.
The ballpark at, Patrick's Lake, there was supposed to be some needed improvements. What was that? Was it the fencing?
It's just the in-slate disrepair, which is the backstop on the field. You know, we have one softball tournament in summer there. Other than that, I don't know. I don't think it gets used a lot, so we were just trying to gauge the public interest in, developing that. If we should spend the monies to improve that or just stagger along, so to say.
Do you have a figure, ballpark figures, so to speak, about what it would take to get it up to snuff?
I checked a couple of years ago and the backstop was gonna cost somewhere, I don't know, I wanna say about 15,000. To have a fencing company come in and do it.
It's a nice facility.
It
Nice
is.
to see it kept up.
Yeah.
Maybe could promote a few more tournaments there. I'd be willing to look into that and how we could promote that more. And does the outfield fencing, does that need any work or is that?
that's in pretty good shape. It's just that
Basically, it's
backstop.
known Right now.
It's just that backstop is, it's kind of a homemade backstop as it is. And the timbers are rotting and falling apart to, the fencing that's there is rusting.
It's a great facility.
Mhm.
And some of these small parks just have nothing. And it's a well-kept secret, I would say, Patrick's Lake.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Fred? Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
everyone.
Okay. Any items for next agenda? No. Okay, we need to set a meeting date. And Rocky cannot be here. Our normal meeting date would be the 12th. So for discussion, do we want to move to the 5th? And or the 19th? So we have a 5-person committee. Either one of those okay with you, Rocky, if we move?
Either one works.
Okay, has anybody got a preference on the 5th or the 19th? Fifth is good with Diana, okay. Next meeting date, property and rec will be the June 5th, 2:00. I declare the meeting adjourned.